Understanding the consumer, points 5 and 6, an introduction to consumer demographics and typologies. So for people, we're looking at doing some secondary consumer research and primary consumer research. Remember to look over the research methodologies for shop reporting to start to understand what the difference between primary and secondary consumer research is. So again, essentially if you're attending and coming to class, you should be doing a selection of all of these, which would be great. So the consumer, understanding your market and consumers. As aspiring buyers and merchandisers, it's essential you gain an in-depth understanding of your consumers to ensure your product appeal and most importantly sell to your target market. Target markets are groups of consumers, brands and retailers want to make regular customers. By researching and understanding your consumer and target market, you can ensure that the product and store online experience and so on will target the consumer's tastes, styles and preferences. For parts 5 and 6, you're conducting primary and secondary research into understanding your consumer. So market segmentation, something else that we talk about in shop reporting and retailing in general, identifying your target market and consumer. We separate the consumer market into 4 smaller groups of market segments. Geographics, essentially where people live, demographics relating to their age, gender, psychographics, which is a more in-depth study focusing on consumers' personalities and lifestyles and preferences, and their behaviour, their opinions on products and services. So these can be split up into geographics, so for example, customers that live within 10 miles of the M25. Demographics, it could be something that you call somebody who's an A-level or university student. Psychographics, you could refer to consumers who prefer to buy organic clothing, that's their preference, that's something about their personality, lifestyle. And behavioural things like customers wanting value for money and impulse buying. So you're sort of looking at the benefits sought, their kind of loyalty scenes and their readiness to purchase. So those are the kind of 4 main segments that we talk about. So buyers and merchandisers need to analyse their consumers' lifestyles in order to determine how they buy and what they buy to maximise product sales. If a buyer or merchandiser can understand their customers' needs, they can develop product that provides superior value for them and price and distribute them effectively, essentially creating higher sales. So what do we mean by the terms demographic and ethnographies? Demography is defined as the branch of knowledge that deals with human populations, especially the statistical analysis of births, deaths, migration and diseases, as illustrating the conditions of life communities. When it comes to fashion, we use demographics to studies to use as a range of different resources to gather statistics. So when it comes to consumers, we might do demographic studies such as interviews, have conversations with people, or participate in surveys and questionnaires. We might also use client databases, so we might take secondary information from AI or LSN Global or WGSN Insights, for example. When we do interviews and conversations and things, that's primary research. And when we use things like AI or some of our online retailing resources, that's secondary research. So statistical information also is quantitative research. So we're getting lots of quantity, a big quantity of research, but it's not as in-depth or as insightful as perhaps qualitative research. So ethnography is the recording and analysis of a culture or society, in this case your target market, usually based on participant observation and resulting in a written account of people, a place or an institution. So bringing it back to our studies is where we delve deeper into understanding consumers and their individual wants and needs. Consumers. So we might conduct focus groups for consumers, so small groups where we might sit down for 10 to 15 minutes and talk to a group of consumers. This can be done online, it doesn't have to be done in person. Within your target market, we make observations about them and note down things. In this case, we're asking you to create a 20 to 30 second reel of your consumer and hopefully speak to some people too to get some information. This is essentially primary research. We're able to get more insightful, more in-depth, better quality research here. So quotes and observations that we find ourselves are qualitative research. So market research, I'm sure you've all heard of this. So you need to conduct your own primary and secondary research to identify your chosen brand and retailer's consumer. Essentially, you need to identify who your target market is. So what we're asking you to do is for point 5, conduct desk research using ChatGPT or another AI chat-based generator to generate a consumer profile for your chosen retailer. We're doing a task on this in class. Investigate your store's digital portfolio. Look at their Instagram, their TikTok. Look on the website specifically at that Who's Wearing It feed if they have one. See who is purchasing from your store and visually present an overview of that consumer. In class, we will look at LSN Global, where you can look at some different communities and see if any of those are relevant to your brand, and make some bullet points and analysis. We'll also introduce you to WGS Insights, where you can research some consumer information that may be important or relevant to your brand and retailer, and note down some points here too. So I used ChatGPT for the one that I created. You can just go in and create a free account. There's no need to pay for any of these. I literally put into the chat, create a consumer profile for New Look, and it came up with lots of information about, who they believe that consumer is. I then want to get some more information from my chat engine. So I might ask, where else does my consumer shop, to try and find out who they think that my competitors are, how often they go in store. Perhaps I might want to find out how much they spend each month on fashion. It's up to you what you ask here to get the ChatGPT to try and get you some more information. You can also do your search a second time, because quite often when you do it a second time, it comes up with different information. So you're getting a wide range of information here. Any extra information can go on Padlet. You can just put the most interesting information here. So then we're asking you to investigate your store's digital portfolio, Instagram, TikTok, social media, and the Who's Wearing It feed. So the Who's Wearing It feed, if I go to a site like Monkey, they make this available. So if you go to info and inspiration at the bottom, they've got hashtag Monkey Style, where people can upload their own photos of them in clothing from Monkey. When you go to it, you can see loads of images of people that are actually wearing it, that have uploaded it themselves. So you start to get an idea of who the consumer is. Now, not all retailers have this. You could look on their social media feed to see who's wearing it, or try on the website, but it gives another insight. Take some of these clips of images, include them in your report and on your Padlet. You can also just go to hashtag on Instagram and look for your brand. So people quite often just put hashtag when they're wearing something. So if I was looking at Arket, I could look for a hashtag Arket, and it might come up with loads of different consumers on there wearing their stuff. So again, I'm getting an insight into who the consumer might be. In class, we looked at LSN Global and WGSN Insights. These can all be located on the library on SharePoint. You go to online resources by subject, go specifically to fashion, it filters them down, and you've got LSN Global. Here you can go on the website and go onto the behaviours and communities. Now, these aren't updated very regularly. They might not be relevant. If they're not relevant, perhaps put one or two on your Padlet, but don't refer to it. Don't include information that's not relevant. Just pop it on your Padlet. But for example, there are some different profiles on there that you might read and find that might be relevant to who you think your consumer is. You can also look at WGSN. You locate it in the same way on the library, online resources, fashion, WGSN. You will need to create an account here. You do it first time, go to login in the top right hand corner, use your university email, verify the email, and create a free account. Then go to Insights and Consumer Forecast, and there's loads here. You might want to search by generation. Typically, I'd imagine you're looking at millennials or Gen Z. And have a look at the different consumers they have here. Again, read through a few of the reports and comment on them. So that should answer point 5 here. Here are some of the suggestions for the AI chat engines.